What is going on, YouTube? I am in the middle of a beautiful Kentucky day. It's a little warm. It's up in the 80s, 90s. But I am out on my new bike. It is 2022, so of course, in typical me fashion, I get another motorcycle because my addiction knows no bounds. As you can tell, we are aboard the 2022 Royal Enfield Himalayan. You might remember that I wanted to get this bike when I got my CSC RX4, and it was unavailable at the time, so I didn't get it and got the RX4. But the bug never really went away, and I still wanted this, and found one available. And I will pull in here and let you take a look at it. There's nothing to be said about this bike that you probably don't already know. The Himalayan has been around for a few years now, and it's relatively unchanged. There are a few differences. So as you can see, I ended up with the pine green, which wasn't my intent. I wanted a black or silver one, but this was the one they had, and this is the one I ended up with. And I'll be honest with you, once I put my little ammo cans on there, it really has grown on me. It makes me feel like I'm on I had this G.I. Joe three-wheeler Power Wheels when I was a kid, and I'll be real honest, this makes me think of that. So I always feel like I'm on a tiny G.I. Joe toy anytime I'm on this thing. But you guys know the drill. 411cc air-cooled single-cylinder thumper, fuel injected. Again, if you know anything about the Himalayans, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know. So I can only really give you my experience with this bike. The seat, incredibly comfortable for 2022. The riding position, incredibly comfortable. The bike makes about, is it 24 horsepower maybe? I don't remember the torque specs, and that really put me off initially. And let me just say that if that's the case for you, I'm 6'2", 280 to 300 pounds, depending on what day we're talking about. If that's putting you off, the horsepower, let me just tell you that I was pleasantly surprised by how nimble this little bike is. First of all, it's only a little over 400 pounds, I think. Again, I'm not a spreadsheet warrior, so you'll just have to look at the specs yourself if you're interested. But as with many of these Royal Enfield bikes, it's not really about the power, it's the character. And you guys know that I have a 2021 Sportster Iron 1200, which I indubitably love and still love. I still have my RX4, which I love. My girlfriend still has her little CSC SG250, which I enjoy riding because it's like a tiny, tiny little bike. It's like a street bike equivalent of a Grom or something. Not that a Grom isn't a street bike, but it's like a cafe racer Grom. But the thing is, this bike has ended up being my favorite to ride. Like, half the time I find myself reaching for the keys to this rather than the Harley or rather than the CSC. I primarily use the RX4 as my 2-up bike, even though my Sportster has 2-up capabilities now. But man, there's just something about this little Enfield, man. I love the way it corners. I love the way it goes off-road amazingly, which is, you know, its primary purpose. But, like, again, I'm a fairly big dude, and it will run 55, 60 all day with me. And I've had it up to 70, 75 even. It wasn't comfortable at that speed, and I wouldn't want to do it for prolonged periods, but it will do short spurts on the interstate. And I think my favorite thing, other than, you know, just ease of use, this is like the easiest bike to ride that I've ever seen, I'm pretty sure, for me. It's just so simple. The transmission's really good. It feels great. It's balanced. It's smooth on the road. But I think one of my favorite things is the gas mileage is ridiculous. It's like 70 plus miles to the gallon if you go easy on it. And if you're on an all-day trip, you know, I think the gas tank is 4 gallons or more. Pretty sure. Can't remember. Again, not a spreadsheet warrior. I just know that I get a ton of miles per tank. I'm actually going to fill up now just because I'm weird and I never really let my bike drop below half a tank if I can help it. On the Sportster, that's not really an option because you've got about 80 to 100 mile range on the 2 gallons in there. But like I said, you can just hop on this thing and go. Like, you don't have to worry about gas mileage, really. The day that I bought it, I rode 120 plus miles home. I took the back way from the dealership back home. On the interstate, it would have been about 70, 80 miles, but on the back roads that I took, it wound up being about 120 miles. It was the most pleasant ride, and I've not even really hit the first oil change yet on this bike. I've not had it very long, and I've not had much time to ride. And the cool thing about having multiple bikes is the ability to kind of switch, so you're not just abusing one to death all the time. So that usually works out well for me. I do have the LED headlight upgrade. That was from the dealership. As you can see, I'm not really on it that hard. If you're into acceleration and top speed, this is definitely not. This is not your bike. If you're a pretty chill rider like me, who's just happy to be out, kind of putting around, this is it. This is a great little trip bike. Very comfortable. You can ride it all day. Gas mileage is great. It's tall enough to where you don't feel like you're intimidated in traffic. And I have just been over the moon with this thing. Let's see what the gas situation looks like here on the old 192. Looks pretty good, actually. Let's get some fuel, kids. Alrighty. And just like that, that is a beautiful Tacoma, sir. Alright, guys, so we got 2.1 gallons worth of fuel, and on the 2.1 gallons I had about 145 miles on the trip before I reset it. So again, I don't yield to no one, sir. But about 145 miles on 2.1 gallons for this thing. Forgot I did not have a 6th gear. Have got the 5-speed transmission. Blasting down a good old East 80. But yeah, super impressed with this little bike. Can't say say enough good things. I know a lot of people look negatively on Royal Enfields, and I think my answer to that would be just go ride one. Try it out. I didn't know what I was going to think till I was on the bike. I've seen people like Itchy Boots go halfway across the world on one. Of course, one of the big places I first saw these was when Revzilla did their cheapskate bike test where they had the RX-4 and this, and I now have both of those motorcycles. I don't know what that says about me as a human being, but I like the little cheap, the smaller ADVs is a very fun segment of bike that I think a lot of people overlook. You don't have to have 125 horsepower to go out and ride 60 miles an hour all day, get great gas mileage, and have a blast. This bike is, like I said, more fun than probably any bike that I have other than the little SG250, and that's just because it's so small that you feel like you're on a Grom or something. You're just on this little pocket bike, and going 60 on it is, you feel like you're fighting for your life. It gives you the same rush as going like, 100 on a bigger bike. Just terrifying. But like I said, this bike's super smooth. I ride 60 all day. It is just amazing. So I highly suggest, if you haven't looked into Royal Enfield or you haven't looked at the smaller ADV bike segment, check them out. They're actually really cool little bikes. So yeah, I will try and upload more. I've been busy with work and other things, but I really appreciate you. If you're still watching, thank you. Appreciate everybody that's commented and has questions and participates with my little Nobody YouTube channel, so I appreciate that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.